So RSI Studios here, back again with a new video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time, a successful attraction in Universal Studios, which it was in both Florida, Hollywood, and Japan. It first opened in Florida in April 27, 1996 in the Hollywood area, and then in Hollywood in May 6, 1999 in the Upper Lot area, and then in Japan in March 31st, 2001 in the New York area. 2 out of the 3 are confirmed not operating today, which is the Hollywood version that closed on December 31st, 2012 and was replaced by Despicable Me, the ride, and the Florida version closed in October 8, 2017 and was replaced by the Bourne Stuntacular attraction. But there is no clue of the Japan version, but there was rumor later in 2020 that it was going to be closed down, but there isn't a clue if it was for good, just for the pandemic. It all started in 1992 when Jay Stein, the CEO of Universal Studios at the time, who approached Gary Goddard about doing a Terminator live action stunt show. Who that doesn't know Gary Goddard, he is one of the people who brought the Amazing Spider-Man, the ride, at Islands of Adventures Park, and who also worked on bringing Jurassic Park River Adventures, the ride, and many more classics attraction in Universal Studios. Stein pitched the idea of bringing an attraction with live actors and theatrical stunts, and will be duplicated in other Universal parks. Universal saw that this idea needed new characters on the new genetic Terminator in order for this to work, and Goddard envisioned that the attraction should include a 3D presentation with a live action and film scenes on some pyrotechnics in order for it to work. On these early stages, James Cameron and the Terminator 2 cast were not involved. However, Cameron was curious of the project and had a meeting with Goddard and Universal Studios team. Cameron was shown a showroom filled with hundreds of storyboards for the plan of the attraction. The reason why Cameron really had the meeting with the company because he thought that the idea of the attraction was going to be bogus, but was surprised of the idea and wanted to be part of the project instead of signing for the rights to make it. But his idea after hearing about the attraction was that to make it a little mini sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So Universal team was like, okay, let's get a guy, put him in makeup and dress him like the Terminator. And Cameron was like, said, oh no, let's really do this. If we are gonna make a mini sequel, there is only one Terminator. So they had the cast from the movie involved, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Edward Furlong, Linda Hamilton, and Robert Patrick. Cameron agreed to Universal that he will make the movie segment for the attraction, while Universal had a team to get the live action segment right to make it match. In March of 1995, Cameron officially greenlit the project when Universal Studios had signed him and the Terminator 2 cast to be involved in the production. A full-scale mock-up of duplicating the Florida's attraction auditorium was created in the airplane hangar of Van Nuys Airport in San Fernando Valley. The set had 3 silver screens. Each of these silver screens were 25 feet high and 50 feet wide. But the word in the theme park was that the project was called Project 640, so that no workers at the park can spoil what was the new attraction about or what its title. So no one knew. So one day, one of the people working on the project went up to one of the skippers of the Jaws ride when that attraction was still around and asked the skipper to audition for the new attraction, not telling him what's about. But the person figured in his mind, if they have a John Connor character in the attraction, then this guy is the perfect guy for that role, still not telling the skipper about what the project is. But later on, the skipper figured that the project was about and was picked for the role of John. Being one of the first cast for the attraction, these people had to audition like if they were the beginning of the project, what was required to be part of the show, since it was early age of the attraction. But now going to the movie segment, the real cast were required to film in an abandoned desert in California, middle of nowhere, it took the real cast 2 weeks to film the movie segment it required to achieve the 3D effect. Was 2 camera rigged weighing 450 pounds was used. The 12-minute shot was shot in 65mm 3D movie stock that ran 40 frames per second to increase the resolution of the film image. This was reported to be cost $24 million for this film segment, $36 million for the venue, in total of $60 million. This attraction was known for the most expensive attraction at the time of 1996. It required 2 projectors to get the 3D look for each screen, totaling it to 6 projectors. It also had a seat drop effect, catwalk on top, 3 to 2 T70s on each side of the auditorium, depending on which version of the attraction you go to. A down backstage for the T1000 and T800, and also for Kimberly and John to disappear. The backstage was used for the disappearance of John and the T800 going into the screen, being a secret door that opens from the backstage operator, and the downstage was used so that Kimberly and the T1000 can also disappear by surprise, and for the T70s can come up, lift up from the bottom. Also, there was a hidden secret effect towards the end with a ladder drop. Terminator 2 3D was opened in April 27, 1996 in the Hollywood section, and well, it didn't have a grand opening, which the Hollywood version did. The reason was because there was an interview, I forgot what was the name or the person who interviewed the first cast of the attraction in Florida, but there was a mention why there wasn't a grand opening like Hollywood had it. It's because Universal Studios Florida was told by Arnold Schwarzenegger not to use his face because he wanted to be the face of California only, but which Universal Studios Florida did it anyways, which they lost the title of their theme park name used for the Making of Terminator 2 3D and a special edition of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and lost the grand opening with the cast. Oh, and another thing is that they used the first live actor of John Connor's voice to use in the beginning of the scenes of John, and when the T1000 was controlling the T70s because they couldn't get Furlong to finish the voice effect for the actor since he was really busy, but Universal Studios never updated it, and it worked for 21 years, and it was also used for the Hollywood version. But we all know that Terminator 2 3D was first opened in Florida. The Hollywood version opened in May 6, 1999, which makes it 3 years later after the Florida version. Before it opened, Universal Studios Hollywood replaced one of the Nickelodeon buildings to replace it with the Terminator. Construction began in 1997, but while testing the seat drop effect before opening the parking lot below of the attraction was damaged because of it and had to be refixed and function right with the seat dropping effect. Later, the Hollywood version opened with the cast being part of the grand opening and a special effect with helicopters with Cameron and Arnold and Eddie, and being interviewed after the reaction of the attraction. The late Universal Studios Japan version opened when the theme park opened in March 31st, 2001. So now, being finished with the early age segment of the attraction, we are now going to be talking about storyboard and how the show worked for every park. So the attraction started by first walking in Cyberdyne building, and finally to find out more about its technology and how it will change tomorrow. We get introduced by a character that is part of the show named Kimberly Duncan, and she's the director of Cyberdyne. And she shows a presentation of Cyberdyne, new technology, and Skynet while getting shown about what is to come of the future. We get interrupted by Sarah and John warning us about the truth of Cyberdyne and what is Skynet, and they tell us about their past and that they were Skynet #1 target for termination. After warning us to get out the building, they get cut off, and the pre-show comes back up and tells us the future begins today and tomorrow. Well, it ends after that Kimberly apologized and tells us there will be no more interruptions, and tells us to walk in the attraction. Well, she starts the actual presentation. Meanwhile, we find our seats. She prepares by telling us to put on the 3D glasses, the ones we grabbed before the pre-show. While we do that, we see the future fighting soldiers, the T-70. They begin lifting up from the bottom stage, well, with smoke effect, and they finally finish being lifted up. To present the audience with targets, and they're begin to prepare the firing at the targets. The machines had a machine gun, and it's a flamethrower, and shows the fact that it's really firing at the target. And after they finally finish, Kimberly is now presenting Skynet. Wow, the screen goes up. John and Sarah appear from the catwalk and rappel down, crashing Kimberly's presentation and telling her to shut the machines down. And while John and Sarah stop the presentation, the T-1000 appears of the screen while John and Sarah hide while they are running from the T-1000. The T-1000 kills Kimberly and starts controlling the robots. John and Sarah can't hide because they are being targeted by the machines, so they stop moving while flash of lightning appeared, and they come to find out that it's the T-800 on his motorcycle coming from the screen. While the T-1000 is chasing the T-800, the T-800 drives and stops and shoots the T-1000 on the face. While the T-800 asks John to go with him, Sarah says go with him and starts shooting at the T-1000. While he gets up, John hops on the bike, and while the T-800 shoots the T-1000 again, they take off of the screen while Sarah ditches the scene. So we start by seeing John and the T-800 going through the portal. We see the future war. Meanwhile, John looks around. The T-1000 somehow appears from the portal, and John tells the T-800 to take off while the T-1000 starts chasing them. The T-800 runs the bike and drives while the T-1000 is close on taking out John. The T-800 immediately takes his shotgun and fires at the T-1000, causing him to fall back. Meanwhile, they get away. The T-800 and John get spotted by a hunter-killer. They start going fast on the bike until the hunter-killer takes them out of the bike. And John and the T-800 have no choice but to go on foot, so they quickly find cover while the hunter-killer sets off mini hunters to find and hunt John and the T-800. They notice and start running, and the T-800 managed to take off a couple by shooting and hitting them with the shotgun. He orders John to hide while taking out the last one, almost getting John caught by it. T-800 grabs it and slams it, tells John if he's okay, and tells him to get down. While endoskeleton appears, John is trying to hide as best as he can. The endoskeleton finds John, and the T-800 distracts and kills off the endoskeleton by throwing the dead mini hunter at it, causing the endoskeleton head to explode up. And John comes out telling the T-800 if he knew him, telling off the joke that he was his college roommate. While the T-800 orders John to get the explosive device, he gets it, almost causing the device to go off. While the T-800 stops it and tells John not to do that. They both take off to Skynet building to destroy it in a hurry. While the doors are shutting, the T-800 holds the door and tells John to hurry and walks in, while the T-800 also walks in Skynet while having a dark pitch scene. While the door closes, we now shown the live actors are back on the auditorium, being shown the inside of the Skynet building. Well, it looks like the building elevator is going down to the lower level. While John is looking around, asking the T-800 questions, finally the elevator stops with the room brightening up. John's still looking around, being curious, while the T-800 is messing with the timeline for the portal to upload to send John back. Wow. John and the T-800 spotted on camera. John asks what kind of Terminator is guarding the time portal, and the T-100 says a T-1 being a T-1000 liquid spider, which appeared, and the T-100 asks John to take cover while the T-100 shoots the T-1 and the T-1 kept following both John and the T-100 until John found an idea to shoot a tank filled with liquid nitrogen, and the T-100 does, freezing the T-1. And after being fully frozen, the T-100 shoots it with a plasma rifle, causing the John to yell, telling the T-100 he messed up the mood. While they hurry up the ladder, the portal is ready for John to go back to his time while the T-100 stays to blow up Skynet, saying his last words before blowing up the T-1 million. T-100 says, "Hasta la vista, baby." Smoke and flames appear for a good minute, until you see Sarah and John meeting again, and being shown on the screen is an endoskeleton forming into Arnold's T-100. Sarah says he owes his life to the Terminator for saving his son, while the screen and character fading in the dark, ending the show. After the show, you'll make your way towards the Cyberdyne Image, the Terminator store. In my opinion, the Florida store was better than the Hollywood one, but when it was announced that the Hollywood version was closing first, only being operated for 13 years, there was people crowding the lines. But the thing is that the Hollywood version did not have a closing celebration. Wow, when it was announced that the Florida version was closing after 21 years, there was a celebration having the live actors from the first and current live actors from the show to appear. The only live actor that didn't appear from the first cast was the John Connor, who was used in the show. He claims he was busy working in Universal Studios Singapore Park. But talking about the Orlando celebration, there was an opportunity to take pictures of the robots and the live actors before the option was finally forever gone. After the attraction was gone in Florida Park, there was an option of a couple months later to buy props from the show in the park store called William Hollywood Prop Shop. But unfortunately, there was no way getting the full scale of the T-70 because Universal offered those to the people who called dibs on it first. There's only a couple people who got the full scale of the robot. I knowing that my friend Hope of the Future has 2 full parts of the robot himself. He is also a fan of the ride and a YouTuber. You guys can look him up. I was lucky enough to have 3 pieces of the robot: one of the leg joints, the bullet, and the inner mechanic biceps. What made me fall in love with this attraction was that I was 8. My dad showed me Terminator 2 Judgment Day for the first time in 2010. In my mind, I thought it was a new movie because of the quality and everything, but I ended up loving the movie. That same year, we went to Florida with family. I love Disney World. I usually upon going, always expect going to Disney World because it was like my 4th time of my life going to Disney World. But before we went to Disney World, my family decided to go to Disney last during the vacation. That in my 2nd day in Florida, we went to Universal Studios. I didn't think nothing of the park since I was 8 and I rode half of the rides already, and it wasn't it till my family finished riding The Simpsons. Well, we were riding The Simpsons with my families, and that one of my uncles said something about Terminator being on the map, and I was like, yeah, right, that's a new movie. How is that a ride? Until I actually seen it for my own eyes. I was like, yeah, let's go. So we went. I told my cousin, I hope this isn't just the movie in 3D, still not knowing the movie came out in 1991. But at the end I was shocked. I loved the ride ever since, and I ended up going to the store. I knew I had to buy something. In total of seeing the attraction, I went on it 3 different times in 3 different years. I was was going to see it for the 4th time, but at that time I was with my uncle and his family at the time, and they said we had a limited time being at the park, so we had to leave early to go to Islands of Adventures. Who knew that it would be the last time I see the attraction alive? Which later I went to Universal Studios in 2018 to check on what's left, and it was sad to see it all gone. This was one of the reasons why I love Universal Studios, and this is the attraction was to go to when I first go upon the theme park. Now that I finished the history of the attraction and why I got so in love towards it, now there's still a piece missing towards this. That's the Japan version. It is still unknown if it's 100% officially closed or it's closed because of the pandemic. But whatever is the answer, who knows? Let me know in the comments what's going on with that version. And please like, comment, subscribe, because I really worked hard on this video. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.